It's time for Show Me Your Country.
I'm Debbie.
I'm Carrie. We're More and More. And we're taking you on tour with us.
On stage, backstage,
On the bus, in the green room,
the bar rooms,
the hotel room,
the woods.
Sometimes we meet in the woods.
That's where we are today.
Wherever the stars are, that's where we are.
Guess who's with us today? He began his career touring with his brother Lefty when he was just 12 years old.
And he's won many CMA and ACM awards.
He's also an author writing the long-awaited book, I Love You 1,000 Ways, the Lefty Frizzell story.
His number one hits include You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma and I'm Gonna Hire a Wino to Decorate Our Home, and he's celebrating the 40-year anniversary of both of those songs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We are celebrating because he recently recorded a song with us called Who I'm Drinking With. Woo! It's the legendary David Frizzell.
You're the reason God made Oklahoma. You're the reason God made Oklahoma. I'm sure listening.
David Frizzell. David Frizzell. What are you doing in Ashland City?
I'm here to check out this incredible place.
That's not why you're here.
I am here to see if I can remember the words wino. No, wait a minute. It's good to see y'all, though. It's good to see y'all.
It's good to see you, too. Gosh, I'm
Been a
so
little
glad you
while.
came out. So you had like a television taping or something in
Had a
Ashland
television
City, right?
thing. We
yeah.
did about 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah?
And we did a little song that I actually started the song back 40 years ago called You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma.
Oh, we don't know that song.
Now, you know, we've sang that a time or two.
I know.
But me and this young lady just recorded it, some time back, and this was put out and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just a great song, but it's because it's 40 years old, and so we did a kind of a remake of it, and to have some fun with it, and kind of bring it up to, wherever we are now.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
But it's a great song. It just goes to show you what a great song would do for you.
Yeah.
That song is taken, me and Shelley West, took me and Shelley, that nobody knew who we were, except maybe I was Lefty's brother, she was Dottie West's daughter. Maybe they knew that. Mm-hmm. But they didn't know who David and Shelley were. That song came out pretty soon. They knew David Frizzell and Shelley West. Then pretty soon they knew Dave and Shelley,
And everybody...
all over the world.
That song, nobody wanted that song, right? Isn't that what happened at the beginning? Because you had played the song and nobody thought it was a hit, and then later,
Well, we recorded that song along with the whole album.
Yeah.
We had signed with Casablanca, was going to be Casablanca West. Mm-hmm. The West part would be the country division. They had people like the Village People and some of those kind of acts on the great people, but they weren't country people. And so we signed a contract with them. By the time we got the album done, completely done, and got back over to them, they had changed CEOs of the company. And so the new CEO did not like country music, so they scratched the deal. So we ended up with a project that they didn't want. So Snuff Garrett, an incredible man, one of the most incredible people I've known in my lifetime. He would not give up. I've never seen him give up on anything that he liked, Mm-hmm. And he never gave up. He shipped that. He sent that to every record label in the business, every record label, including Warner Brothers, including Columbia, all of them. They all turned it down. And then one day he was riding from Palm Springs to L.A. He had Clint Eastwood in the car. And he had already been doing, that's what he was doing to begin with, was doing the soundtracks for Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds, and they were for the soundtrack for the movies. So he had Clint in the car, and he called me right after this happened. He called me, he told me, he said, David, I had Clint in the car. I knew he wasn't going to jump. He says, I'm driving 70. I know he's not going to jump. So I played him Oklahoma. He said, and he sat there, and I sat there. He said, when the song finally ended, Clint finally looked over at me and he said, man, that's a pistol. Let's put that in my next movie.
Wow.
And Snuff said, I'll do you one better than that. I'll split the thing with you if you help me get it going. So Clint said, you're on. And so they actually liked that song so much that they made 2 spots in the movie for it. Any Which Way You Can, the movie Any Which Way You Can. And so they did, and it
what
just
an
really
amazing
fit.
break.
Yeah. And so then it was on the soundtrack album, and that went up to number 5 on Billboard, the greatest albums or whatever. And but the song that came off of there was "You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma" went #1, and it was so strong just being played off of the soundtrack that they put it out as a single, and it went #1. Actually, they put it out in November of 1980. I never heard of a single, unless it was a Christmas song, put out in November of any year. Usually it's a Christmas song or something like that. But they put it out, and Warner Brothers put it out in November. And April the 11th, 1981, it went #1.
Wow.
Still remember that day.
I still remember that day.
Yeah. So the first time you ever heard it on the radio, were you like, when you knew it was a hit, but the very first time you ever heard it, did you cry? Did you?
You know what? It still almost does that to me now when I hear it,
Yeah.
because it is such a good song. And I always, in my lifetime, because I grew up listening to Lefty, and all of his songs were absolutely incredible. And then my good friend Merle Haggard, obviously, all of his songs are great. So I've always been on the look. I always knew I had to find a hit song, because they did, and look what happened to them. Both of them. I've got to have a hit song, so I was on the look for a hit song, and so I knew I had to find one. But when I heard "You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma," the little demo, I just felt it. I just felt that was it. So when we recorded it at the studio and the whole album with it, that song really stuck out. So when they actually turned it down, the people turned it down after we had made a deal. They turned it down. I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong. How could I be wrong about that? I can't be wrong about that,
Well, you know what they say about opinions.
Well, but and then they played it for everybody else in the business, and all the people who are supposed to know what they're doing turned it down.
Yeah. Well, they don't always know what they're doing.
Until Clint Eastwood heard it.
Yeah. Well, that makes a big difference, doesn't it?
That makes a difference. He was listening to it. That's sure does.
Well, I remember the story with Clint Eastwood and Toby Keith, because Toby Keith did the same thing, played that song of the old man, and then ended up being,
what a great thing.
Yeah.
We all need to play a song for Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, let's call him up and let's play a few more.
Well, evidently he'll listen. So that's
cool. Yeah.
I tell you what, but it just goes to show you what a real song will do for you. That song took two people that nobody knew and put them on the world stage. I mean, the world stage. We've sang Oklahoma everywhere in this world.
Yeah.
Not even counting all the places in the United States. Everywhere.
We've even sung it together.
Well, see, there you go.
Love singing that with you.
I still remember when you were playing CMA Fest, and we were at the back of the room, and we didn't even know you were there, and you didn't know we were there, and you started singing that song, and you didn't have anybody singing it with you, and we're going, let's go. So we didn't even pray.
I remember y'all came right.
And then Joe's standing there going, come on, Gabby.
She knew exactly what she was doing.
Oh, yeah, it was.
That's why she's still here.
She does a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, since we brought up Joe here, and Joe's sitting here with us today, but how did y'all meet?
We need to give her a microphone.
Well, real quick, and Debbie and I
yeah.
can share this one. Just put it over the whole stand over there,
Oh,
Deb. Can you
okay.
do that? Yeah. And then,
Well, she
yeah.
tells you this story
Yeah, I want to hear it. I mean, so how long have you both been married, first of all?
to each other. Or?
But not to each other.
We just had our 30th anniversary.
Are you kidding me?
That's right. Yeah, that deserves that.
Happy anniversary. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're
We
getting
met-
ready, though, to have the other ones coming
We
up.
just
here.
talked about that earlier. We were just filming. David was doing the Country Rebel show. They're from California. I said, really? I'm from California. That's where I met David. They said, really? And so the Palomino Club.
I remember it. Yeah, we played it one time years ago.
I'm sure
yeah.
you did. Yeah, the end of 1982. And we met at a Jerry Lee Lewis show. David was there at a show. Me and my girlfriends went to a show. And let's see, then I moved to Nashville in 1987. And we got married in 1990.
Wow. So you just met him at a show. You saw him on stage and thought, I got to have this man?
He was in the
No.
audience.
Oh, he was in the audience.
You guys were there to do an album or something.
I had come in to do a TV show, a Merv Griffin show. And so I had filmed that show. I flew in to do that. And a lot of friends around, so we ended up going out there to see Jerry, and happened to meet these girls while we were there. See what happens?
Yeah.
See what happens?
Hey, you know.
Well, how did you get together? And
I had to actually, when I walked up to her, I said, I'm David Frizzell.
And she goes, who?
Are you a singer?
You're in line
I'm
to
the one
see
with-
Jerry Lee too.
I'm the one with the #1 record. Oh, you're David Frizzell. Oh, yeah. That's different. Go ahead, John.
Well, we dated off and on. And then there was a small period of time that we hadn't seen each other, almost maybe a year. And he called my mom's house. I said, gave her the sign, I'm not here. And she said, worded, I'm not lying for you. So I said, anyway, she gave me the phone. Went and seen David in Palm Springs. I think I moved to Nashville a couple of weeks after that. And we've been together ever since. That was 1986, 87, I
I
guess.
tell you what was so great, too, about her is that, and you guys known her for quite a while now, but what was so great about her, especially for me, was that she actually came back and made her place for herself. Not just to be with me, but she get to know the business. She knew who to call. She knew how to call you, right? I mean, she still does.
Yeah.
And she knows how to keep the books. She knows how to do it all. And she learned it. What she didn't know, she learned. And now she's like a manager. She does all the road
manager.
She
yeah.
does everything.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. I mean, that's.
Well, and we get to meet people like you. And you brought up that show, Carrie. That's the one I remember because David's up there. And at this point, he didn't have anybody to sing the duet with. And I'm looking, and here's you girls just, Joe, I go, and it worked out because you guys have sang with David so many times. And
Yeah.
it's so cute.
That
And
was fun.
We're all at CMA and didn't know it.
Yeah.
And it
that
worked
was,
out.
and we
It was
played earlier,
fun.
I think, that day or something, and it just happened to see. We had no idea.
we just go, they're playing that song, let's go.
We go running up there. We were out of breath by the time we got to the stage.
Jeannie Seeley's got another name for it. What is that?
Oh,
Management?
for me?
Yeah.
Hot flash management, yes. She's so sweet.
Well, we're past that, aren't we?
Yes. See how long
We're still hot.
see how long ago that started?
Oh, God.
Well, that's awesome. I
Yes.
love that. Well, so you were, of course, you're the brother of Lefty Frizzell, which was your older brother, and
Yeah.
you said you had 9.
There was 9 of us kids,
in
Mama.
Nine
and Dad,
kids. In
9 kids.
Yeah.
And me and brother Alan is the baby. Mm-hmm. And me and him is the only 2 left at this point.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, it's not a day goes by. Of course, it took me a long time. Here's a book called I Love You a Thousand Ways. This is the audio book to it.
Yeah.
But I came to Nashville. See, I worked with Lefty real early in my life. And when I was 9 years old, he had a #1 record.
Well,
And
when you were 12 years old, you hitchhiked to California, right?
Well, I was 16 when I actually did work with him a few times. Like he'd come over and pick me up. We all lived in California. So sometime he'd go on tour and he'd come by. If it was the summertime where the school was out, he'd come by and take me. Maybe I'd go with him a couple of weeks or a week or, whatever, weekend or whatever. But then when I turned 16, I'd left Ojai, California. And
That's
I
when
left
hitchhiked.
hitchhiking.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I thought 12 was a little young to hitchhike. I didn't know.
Well, in our family, it wasn't. You had to get out the best way you could.
You wouldn't want to do it today. I know
No,
that.
probably not. But I got over to his place, and actually I hitchhiked all the way because he lived just out of San Fernando Valley, in San Fernando Valley. They're in L.A. area, so I hitchhiked all the way from Ojai, which is north of Ventura, California. Ventura, you probably got an idea where that's at. Just
Ventura Highway.
yeah, that pretty much. So I finally got over there, and he lived at the end of the block. And as I was walking up that block, when I walked up to the door, and he opened the door because he was watching me walk up the road, evidently. And I didn't call him, tell him I was coming. We had started hitchhiking. And but as I got to the door, he opened the door, opened it up. He didn't say, "Hi, David, how are you?" or "What are you doing?" No, he said, "You're with me now." and I was with him for the next 4 years.
And so did you play an
I
instrument
did.
in the band? So you,
Oh yeah. Well, I opened every show. I did two to three songs, most of the time 2 songs, for every show, and then I'd introduce him, and then I would stay on there and I'd play guitar along with the rest of the band. You know, but I could also turn around and show them what key we're in if I had to.
Okay.
But you know, while they're playing, while he actually showed, and then I would do the harmonies with him. I'd play harmonica with him. You know, when there was one to be played.
So did Lefty actually teach you how to play guitar, or is that something
No,
you picked up on
actually,
your own? Or?
something I did pick up on my
Yeah.
own. Me and my sister Betty, who was the oldest of the 3 girls, and we picked up a guitar at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle, we lived in a place called Loco Hills, New Mexico. That's out of Artesia and Lovington, New Mexico, right in between, right out in the sand dunes, right out of the sand dunes. I'm telling you, awful place. And he brought back and he dropped a guitar off, and so me and her took turns and learned how to play it. But I got it and ran away with it for a while. So anyway, but I played guitar, and then I would help him with the show. And then I did most of the, after that, I'd drive us to the next show and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I did that for 4 years. And he played, I mean, he was, golly, you guys book all the time, so you know. I mean, there was a bar room every block in Texas.
There still is.
And they kind of said, well, I hope
Yeah.
so.
That's why we love Texas.
Yeah, I love Texas. But we played everyone. Even though I was too young to get in, they got me in some way. They get me in through the back door, get me to the bandstand, whatever, because I was too young. But then we was on our way. I think I turned 18, and we were on our way we were living in California, like I said, but we was on the way to Nashville, and he had a couple of shows to do on the way back, so we had to stop and do the shows and come on in. But he was getting ready to do a session, and here in Nashville, and so we came into town and we stopped at a convenience market, and we get some gas, but we also called Don Law, who was Lefty's producer of Columbia Records. So he says, "Don't move. I know where you're at. Don't move. I'll be right there." And he came out and met us at this little convenience market, and he brought Lefty a little tape, a little reel-to-reel tape thing. Mm-hmm. And Lefty just happened to have his woolen sack tape recorder with him. And so we went in so we could plug it in that convenience market. And I heard, and Lefty heard, Long Black Veil for the first time.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! It's unbelievable. And Mary John Wilkins had written it with a helper. She had a co-writer, and she had it. She's playing piano and singing the Long Black Veil. I wish I had that tape now. Oh man, you couldn't be able to get my hair away from it. I'd love to hear it. But anyway, so a few days later, and I don't even remember hearing Lefty rehearse that song, but he must have. A few days later, a little bit later, when he actually was in the studio recording it, it was a master's job.
Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. Nobody knows but me.
Even as much as I knew how Lefty sang, and I listened to every word, every show, all the time. But he sang Long Black Veil, it was a different thing. He sang that, I can't even, it just put chills all over your body.
Goosebumps,
Yeah. And matter of fact, when we was listening to the plate about back, we were standing there with Don Law in the studio, in the control room, and it was playing back. And they had it up real nice so you could really hear it, you know, they mixed it real nice. And I was standing there and he looked down and looked over at me and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Saddest song I've ever heard." But I love it. Yeah. And it is. As a matter of fact, I think it was last year, it was invited into the Library of the Congress.
Oh,
and his version, because he had the first version, but a lot of people recorded that, you know. Including the Rolling Stones, Johnny Cash. A lot of people recorded that song. But it was Lefty's version that just kill you, knock you right out. Still does.
Lefty has a star on the Walk of Fame, right? I remember seeing a picture of you with that star. So
In Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the few country. There's not a lot of country artists. I mean, there's some.
Well,
but,
I
but
think the next one up from him was Michael Jackson. So yeah.
Boy, big contrast there.
But I got to tell you too, when he moved out here, that's when he lived in California. When I went in the service, 1960, I went in the Air Force in 1960. He then moved everybody back to Nashville from California, and so when I got out of the service, he was living back here at that time. And when I got out of the service, I started working with Buck Owens out of Bakersfield. And he had Freddie Hart was with him, and a bunch of great people, great artists that was working in OMAC artists there. And Buck owned it all. And but I was trying to find that hit song. I'm telling you, I was trying to find that hit.
And you kind of had to take a break to go into the service. That was like 4 years,
But
right?
you know, it's a 4-year stretch.
Yeah.
But I actually played every weekend that I was in there.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing, though?
That
I got to
is.
play. They let me go to play. And I was, like I say, I was trying to find that hit song. I was on Capitol Records. I needed a hit song. And so I called Lefty up, and I told him, I called him Sonny. I said, Sonny, you know, you've had all these hit songs, and you're writing them, and you got them. People send them to you. I got to have a hit song. He said, David, you need to come back here. This is where it's happening now, right? This is Nashville. You got to come out of here. I said, Sonny, Nashville's a great place. No doubt about it. Nashville is a great place. If your name is Lefty Frizzell, if your name is David Frizzell, it's a whole different ballgame. I said, the only way I'm coming to Nashville is with a hit song. I said, that's why I'm calling you. I need a hit song. He said, well, come on back here and we'll find one. I did fly back, and him and Whitey Schaefer.
Oh, Whitey
I know you know Whitey
Oh,
Schaefer.
Yeah.
Had just written a song, and so I met Lefty at Abe Mulkey's house, and Abe was Lefty's guitar player. And when I came to Nashville, I went over to where Lefty was, and he was with Abe Mulkey. And he said, David, listen to my new album while I go take a shower. so while he's in there taking a shower, I'm listening to the latest and the most incredible album I ever heard. It had That's the Way Love Goes on there, the first version of that, because him and Whitey wrote it. And another song on there called Never Go Around Mirrors.
Gosh.
Woo!
Amazing.
The most amazing and anyway, so he came out of the shower, and he said, what do you think? I said, I got to have that one song. That's a hit song. I got to have that song. He said, which song are you talking about? I said, That's the Way Love Goes. I got to have that song. I'm going to call Buck right now, tell him I got a hit song, and I'm on my way back. He said, David, he said, Johnny Rodriguez just cut that song.
I was just going to say so.
And I said,
yeah.
I can't help it if he has.
I'm stealing it from him.
It doesn't make me any difference how many times he cut it. I want that song. Come on, you're my brother. Come on here. Supposed to help me. And he said, well, it probably won't be a single anyway. It's only a minute 38 seconds. No, a minute 58 seconds, I think it was. And I said, I don't care if it takes up the whole album. Do it. I got to have that song. He said, well, go ahead and take it, and then we'll find out what. Well, obviously, before I got back to Bakersfield, it was already number one.
So you knew it was a hit.
Oh, I knew it was a hit.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that. But I tell you what, I've heard a lot of versions. I love Merle Haggard's version of it.
Yeah.
And actually, Merle recorded it 10 years to the day that Johnny did.
Really? I didn't know that.
It went number one
Yeah.
10 years to the day that Johnny Rodriguez's went number one. 10 years. And but in that time between Johnny Rodriguez recording it and Merle, I still didn't record it. It's the greatest song in the
So
world.
how many songs did you record, like, before your first number one with Shelley? Was there a lot?
I had done a few other things, yeah. I had been on several record labels, and like I said, I was on Columbia. I was on, Columbia, I was on there, Capitol, and all those. I was on all the record labels.
Now, did you write a lot of?
I wrote some of them. I even gave some to Freddie Hart. He recorded them. Either way, we couldn't make with any of them. But I just knew I had to have a hit song. Mm-hmm. And so when I recorded Oklahoma, I knew it was a hit song. I just knew it was. And the way Shelley sang it is just, it's magic.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is magic.
And so I just knew we had a hit. And then the song finally, I knew it was going to be number one. You know, a little bit ahead of time. So I made sure that I was where it says "Welcome to Nashville." I stopped right there. I pulled the car over and stopped, and because I knew the song went number one on the 11th of April. So I stopped the car, looked up to the sign, and looked on up a little further. I said, "I'm a man of my word." Talking to Lefty, one of these days I'll tell him in person. I said, "I'm a man of my word. I'm back here, but I got a number one record." And I tell you, when I did come in,
That gave me chills.
when I did come in, I realized, and for some reason I didn't know it at the time, but it was 1981 when I moved into Nashville, and I did not know that Brother Lefty was not in the Hall of Fame. I did not know that, and it just I couldn't
Blew
believe
your
it.
mind, yeah.
Yeah, it actually made me upset.
Yeah.
I mean, I got upset. I just tell you, and everything that everybody would see me would tell me a Lefty story. Everybody, hi David, hey Lefty, remember Lefty? And they always tell me their story, but their story was always told to me from their point of view, and it's always a little bit different story than what maybe I knew about it, if I knew about it at all. I wanted to hear Lefty's version of it, or whatever it was. Even Alice, Lefty's wife, when she'd tell you a story, it was still her point of view,
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear Lefty's point of view. And so, and that's the reason I wrote this book, because I wanted it to be Lefty's point of view.
Yeah.
And that is, this book is written from Lefty's point of view all the way through it.
And I haven't read that yet. I can't wait to read it.
Oh, you need to read it.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to read
Well,
it.
it tells Lefty when he was born, all the way till he left us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so as far as songwriting, did you learn songwriting from Lefty? I mean,
Well, I think so, because
Yeah.
if you listen to a song, he'd always tell me things. I'd be like when I was running with him and touring with him all those years, he was always telling me things. Like, I always tell this one, I like this little story, it's true. I was sitting in the den about 10 o'clock one morning, I was picking on the guitar and just, not playing anything in particular that I knew. I was just picking around a little bit. And Lefty came about 10 o'clock one morning, and he came through on the way to the kitchen. And I happened to notice that he was standing there when all of a sudden I looked up at him. And he said, "David," he said, "we're out on the road all the time." He says, "and we're working with all the other big stars. We was with Johnny Cash, all the time. We do maybe the show, we do a show maybe Friday or Saturday, but almost every Sunday during the touring season, there would be a package show. And every one of those package shows, Lefty was invited to be a part of. When Lefty went, I went.
Oh, yeah. Those package shows used to be the thing. I mean,
Yeah,
and they still are, but I mean, back then you wrote...
That used to be the thing.
Yeah.
And every one of them seemed like it had Johnny Cash was on every one of them. Johnny was one of my heroes.
Yeah,
Still is.
yeah.
Johnny's still one of my... And June Carter was on every one of them. And Carl Smith was the host of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've never seen, in my mind even today, I've never seen a better host than
Carl Smith,
was.
really? I never
thought
got
he
to meet Carl Smith, so I
one of the
really-
most incredible people. I
So
wish
how
you had
did you
met
all
him.
travel? I mean,
Well, we
it
traveled by car, me
Yeah,
and
just
Lefty.
separate cars
Yeah,
and meet
everybody
there.
just pull in wherever. But we'd play maybe Friday, Saturday, someplace, but almost Dallas sometime, be Dallas maybe, but always a pretty good sized town, like then Chicago maybe, the next Sunday.
Who
But,
routed that date from Dallas to Chicago? I'm kidding.
But I just said, but always
kidding.
bigger towns, and always
Yeah.
pretty good towns,
Yeah.
pretty good sized towns. And but I remember sometimes, but everybody would show up, and some of those people would show up from the town hall party that was a big thing in California at that time. Lefty was a regular on the town hall party, along with Freddie Hart and some of those guys.
When you did those package shows, did you use one band? And then
They
everybody
did. They
went in?
basically used one band, and like I would say, like Joe Maphis was one of the greatest guitar players in the world. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
almost always a part of one of the bands. And that wasn't always the same band. Or it might be Fair and Young's band or something.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
one band though.
Yeah.
But just incredible.
I bet that was a trip with Farron Young. I've heard a lot of stories.
I loved Fred. He was one of a kind, no doubt. but I got to know everybody
Yeah.
in those days, and then working with. But anyway, I was telling you about him walking through,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, David, he said, learn everything you can from those guys. He said, I noticed that you're watching everybody's shows, and I'm always at the curtain, man. I'm watching everybody's shows. And he said, I noticed that you're doing that. He said, I'm glad you're doing that. He said, always learn everything you can. He said, but at the end of the day, we don't need another Johnny Cash. He's doing very well. We don't need another Lefty. He said, matter of fact, I'm having trouble with him myself. He said, and
So he
said,
told
"But
you to
learn-
be
but
yourself,
learn every-
right?
But we don't need another Lefty.
Yeah.
We need a David. Remember, no matter what, we need a David. And then he'd go in the other room. This one time he came through, they said that went in the other room, and about 10, 15 minutes later, I'm still playing, and he came back through and he stopped, and I looked up and he said, we don't need another Bob Dylan either. And he walked on in the other room. But he would tell me things, stuff like that,
Yeah.
to keep me on track. And then he would say, David, he says, there's two things that you got to learn to do in this business to be able to make it in this business. One, I said, what are they? We're talking. He said, one is you got to have a big ego and thick skin.
Thick skin, yeah.
You have to have a big ego
Yeah.
and thick skin.
Yeah.
And he's right. But you got to believe in yourself no matter how many people tell you can't do it.
Well, you gotta have a big ego without bragging all the time. Look how
And
great
you-
I am.
Well, that's true.
Because you're very humble. I mean, considering what all you've done,
Well-
you're very humble and wonderful to be around. There are people in this
That you
business
don't wanna
that
be
have
around.
huge egos. It's just like,
But most of the people that I grew up with were like that anyway.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Um,
The legends seem to be that way. You know what I mean?
I was
mean,
with, I think George Jones was in the dressing room, Lefty was in the dressing room, and we're doing one of these big shows like that. And Mel Tillis was was in the dressing room, and they're having a little sip, of whatever, before going on the show, and so. Time, somebody they call, okay, hey, Mel, it's your turn, you're up next. Well, he's trying to get up, right? And George, you're talking about George and Lefty, you kidding me? And so we're all trying to help him to the there's some stairs. There's some stairs going up the stairs. And the bandstand on these big shows like that were like 40 feet long, 40 foot, the big stages.
Yeah.
And that'd be the bands on the back. These shows are like, maybe 8, 9, 10, 12 different people up there playing. And so Lefty and George got him up to the top to the bandstand. There was a curtain. Pulled that curtain. Got him up there, and then kind of pushed him a little bit. He went right across the bandstand, and he did that, and he fell off the other side.
Oh,
Right.
my God.
I love Mel Tillis.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, but I learned a lot from these guys, and they were just the best in the business. But I did realize that I needed a hit song. It's great Lefty had all these hits. It's great Johnny had all these hits. But David needs a hit. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I had one.
Yeah.
But I had figured I didn't
How to
know
get
what
it-
to do about
yeah.
trying to get it out. But so I called Lefty, and he said, you got to be back here, man. You got to come back here.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that's Sunday. I said, I'm out here with Buck. He said, Buck ain't going to do nothing for you. He said, Buck's still trying to do something for Buck. So anyway, but
That's awesome, though.
but he was a great. He's always trying to help me with trying to figure out a way
yeah.
but he
So he
believed
was
in me.
supportive. Yeah, he's very supportive
Extremely
for you.
so.
Yeah.
He never ever once, him or Merle, either one. Merle was just one of my buddies,
And how did you originally meet Merle? Was it at a show? Did you meet him?
Well, it's
where was
kind of
that?
weird how that happened, actually. As I say, I went in the Air Force, and I went down to San Antonio for my boot camp. And I was there for a month and a half or 2 months. And then they shipped me up to McCord Air Force Base, which is out of Tacoma, Washington. And there's Lewis Air Force Army Base and McCord Air Force, which now they're the same. They've made them both together. But in those days, Fort Lewis was Army, and McCord was Air Force. Anyway, I went in there. But downtown Tacoma, a pretty good sized city, you know, but it has a place like Broadway, you know, down here, like Broadway, the street Broadway, and there's where all the joints were. That's where all the nightclubs were. That was all the, you know, so.
Hookers.
Well, so I went down there to check it out. So I went down there to check it out, and I went into this one bar, and I didn't know this at the time, but Buck Owens was in Tacoma, and they had a radio station outside of town. He was doing a radio show out there, and so anyway, I didn't know that at the time. I found out a little later. But I went in there, and I seen there was a band way back at the back. It was a long building. It wasn't very wide, but it was real long. And I looked all the way at the back, and the bar was about the size of yours, you know, big bar. And
I got a big drinking problem.
Anyway, so I was walking back, and I seen the band back there, and they were setting up, you know, getting ready to play, and they were trying to tune up and all that. So I was walking back there to him, and I walking up to the bandstand, and all of a sudden this guy said, from the bandstand, looking down at me, he said, "You're a Frizzell." He said, I said, "Yeah, I'm David." He said, "Well, I'm Merle Haggard. Nice to meet you." That's how I met Merle the first time. That was 1960, about 61.
Did you just hit it off immediately? You knew you were going to be
From
friends
then on.
forever? Yeah.
And we just
Because you do a show right now called Lefty Merle and Me. That's one of the shows that you do, and you mainly do your music and Lefty and Merle's music in the show.
Just, you know, there's something about Merle because he was such a Lefty fan. But if there was anybody a bigger Lefty fan than me, had to be him. And like if I was to come up and see him right now, I would say, "Hey, how you doing? I ain't seen you for a while." About 3 minutes of that, and that's it. After that, so where's Lefty? What's Lefty doing? Well, where's he at right now? Last time I was with Lefty, him and I, you know. Oh man, but you learn a lot from people like both of those guys.
Oh yeah,
Lefty
I can imagine.
was the most. But I never had. They never told me I couldn't do anything, and not anything I tried. You can do this, you know.
It's so important, you know, because there's so many people that are, you know, trying to have a career in music, and then sometimes they don't have family members that support them, and I think that's so important.
It really is. I couldn't imagine what would happen to me if I looked at him and he shook his head no.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I'm just the feeling I would have just being around somebody like him, and then them not being.
And look what happened, you know. I mean, what a career, you know. Amazing.
I think it's the thing of it is that he taught me at a very early age what it takes to do it. And one of those things is getting a hit record, you know.
How did you find I'm Gonna Hire a Wino? How did you find that song?
Well, Snuff Garrett. I was working, Snuff was my producer, and he would send me songs. And after we had the Oklahoma song, then Shelley had her own bus, I had mine, and we're following each other from one gig to another. And he would send me a fellow named Steve Dorff was his right hand man, and man, there's not a more natural talent than him in the world.
Oh my gosh, he's writing a ton of hits.
He is an amazing guy, and he was our co-producer, and co-wrote most all the songs that we even did, except for that one. He didn't do that one, but those guys, they'd send me tapes, you know, cassettes in those days.
Gosh,
and I'd listen to the cassette.
How old are you, David?
I tell you what, Frizzell and West has even got 8 tracks.
yeah. Oh, I used to have 8 tracks.
You did? Really? I never.
You never did? Well, she's the younger twin, so yeah.
But I think it took that kind of thing to kind of have an idea where you want to be, where you want to try to go, and I would always try to make that happen. But Wino, when I heard Wino, Dwayne Blackwell is one of the great songwriters in our world. He wrote a lot of great songs, but that just happened to be one of them. And when I heard that, it's him singing it. And he's got he's got a regular master copy, you know, I mean.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize at the time, but I found out later that he was actually pushing to get a deal for himself. And that's why Snuff Garrett had it, because he had sent it to Snuff to get the record deal. But when Snuff heard it, he thought of David. That was, you know. So anyway, they got it to me, and I called Snuff back while we found it. In those days, we had to stop off and use a phone booth. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No GPS, you know.
So I called Snuff and I said, don't let that song get away from you. That's our next hit. That's our hit. I feel it.
So could you relate to that song at all?
Oh, completely. Absolutely.
At the time?
Oh, at the time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to me, a lot of people tell me, well, that was written for my husband, or David, that was written for, or whatever. But to me, it was always a love song. To me, it was kind of a love song.
Yeah.
Because she's going through all of this, or she loves this guy, or she wouldn't put up with it.
Well, I love you so much. I was going to put a neon sign in the hallway to show you where the restroom was.
You see there? You see that? There's another thing for you, right?
There you go.
I knew there'd be more for you. I knew it'd be your turn next. Oh, gosh. But what a life it's been.
Wow.
We absolutely took a song. And then my next single was Wino.
And that song has so many words in it. I mean, was it hard to learn a song? When
I
you
still
first
haven't
went-
learned it.
Yeah.
I still rewrite it every time I
You know
sing
what's
it.
weird, David, is today when I was driving back from Ashland City, I had the radio on, and there's a radio station here called the Beaver. It's, and they
I
play
know
all
that.
classic.
Yeah.
Wino came on while I was in the car today, and I went, I can't believe that I'm going to see David today, and I'm listening to Wino in the car. That was pretty cool.
I'll tell you what, it's such a great song. And so when I heard that one, and I heard Blackwell singing it, I thought, man, it's incredible. So anyway, when Blackwell found out I was going to do it, I was already running off of a hit song. So he had pretty good hopes for it.
Yeah.
So he came to the studio when I was recording it. And he came over to me and he said, David, how you going to do that one? How you going to sing that? I said, I'm just going to do it exactly like you did it. Because I thought it was a hit when I heard you sing it. So
It almost sounds like you brought in the Oak Ridge Boys to sing on they're all that low part.
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that. I mean, I
and that's
love
Steve
that.
Dorff and those guys.
Oh,
man.
is it?
Oh,
Okay.
my God. I tell you what was so wonderful about being around that kind of people. Steve Dorff. He's the only genius I know, basically, at his craft. I mean, what he does he's unbelievable. And he lives right here now.
Yeah.
He moved back here. Great guy. Anyway, Snuff Garrett, he had this thing about him. And when I'm watching, because I realize that what he's doing. And he reaches in and he listens to a song, a playback on a song, he listens to a song. And if he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a roll of $100 bills. And yeah, that one smells like a hit. No, he said, no, that one smells like money. That's what he said.
Smells like money.
That one smells like money. And he did that with that song.
And that song was number 17 out of the top 40 drinking songs on CMT.
Of all
right?
time.
Of all
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Of all time. That's pretty cool,
That's
too. I
pretty
mean, man,
amazing,
yeah,
We recorded a drinking song together, too.
we did.
'Cause I remember we asked you, we said, well, we know you don't drink, but we know you sing drinking songs.
Yeah, so we just recorded one. As a matter of fact, you're all going to hear that later on in the show. We're going to play it for you. It's called "I Need to Know Who I'm Drinking With."
Oh, man.
Oh,
you know
it's
what?
classic.
That
It's
is
classic.
that is really cool with you girls saying that.
Gosh, I love
But
it.
you know, that sounds so good. If that one does all right, let me know. We'll do another
Yeah,
one.
okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah. We can do another one anyway. It doesn't have to
No,
be hit.
anyway,
It's
because
just
you never
fun.
know. Clint Eastwood might be listening.
Yeah.
We'll send it to Clint.
Yeah, I think I've got his email somewhere. I'll send him an MP3.
I bet you do.
Well, you've had so many awards. I mean, there's the CMA Awards, the ACM Awards, the Music City News Awards, the European Country Music Association charts, videos. I mean, all these things. You've done so many things.
I did all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So where do you put all the awards? Do you still have them like
have
on a mantle? Or
Joe's got him on the mantle.
Joe's got it
So
taken
you have
care
a
of.
room, like a big room with everything, all the awards in it?
No, that's full of my guitars. All the other rooms are full
Yeah.
of guitars.
I noticed
So how
that-
many guitars do you have?
I don't know. There's a lot of guitars. I got that Buddy Holly guitar I was telling you about. And when we did that Buddy Holly project, when everybody came to town to do to put the song out, put the album out, let everybody know about it. Merle, you guys was there.
Yeah.
Merle Haggard was there, and he
Yeah.
came out, and Jimmy Fortune, and T. Graham Brown, and
Helen Cornelius.
everybody was
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And that's when all the guitars were. We bought guitars like Buddy Holly's, and I tell you what, Buddy Holly had, what was it, J40, Gibson.
Yeah.
And when he passed, they took a fret off, how many frets is on a guitar, and they had a special guitar made with one of those frets on it. And there's only a few people that got one. I was one of them. But a lot of great people that got one of those, but there wasn't a lot. I can't remember some of the other people who's got them, but matter of fact, this is it right here. As a matter of fact, and it's got. When they called me, I got called and was asked if I would do a song. I'll tell you what. In this book here, when you get a chance to read this book, you'll find out that there's a piece in there about Buddy Holly, and so when the people that work and runs the Buddy Holly Educational Foundation out of the UK. That's where they're from. Anyway, they read this book, and in there it told them that Buddy Holly was one of my absolute heroes. And I'm not joking about that. He was then and is now. And I knew every Buddy Holly song. Every Buddy Holly song. Matter of fact, when I got my record deal with Columbia Records, one of my second ones that I got with Columbia Records, I had a guy's phone number that was the A&R man in Hollywood for Columbia Records. I got his phone number some way or other, and I was in Vegas, and I was working in Vegas. Anyway, so I called him on the phone. I got him, and then the secretary said, so we haven't answered. I said, my name is David Frizzell, and I got to have a record deal. And she said, hold on just a minute. And she his name was Sunny Night. Sunny Night was his name, never forget it. And he got on the phone, he said, hey, my name's Sunny Night. He said, I heard, who is this again? I said, this is David Frizzell, and I got to have a record deal. He said, well, where are you at right now? I said, well, I'm in Vegas, but I'm on my way to California. He said, come on over, let me know when you're here, and we'll talk. How can you beat that? So I said, well, I tell you what, I'm on my way tonight after the show. I'll meet you tomorrow afternoon at the Palomino. And so that's where I met him. I said, I'll meet you there about 4 o'clock. And I knew that the band who was playing the Palomino, I knew the people that was playing. I knew all the band in there. So I knew they was going to be playing. So I said, meet me there. I knew they'd be
ready to
they'd be rehearsing and stuff for the night. And so I walked in there, and I said hi to the guys. And I don't know why, but I didn't think about rehearsing anything with them. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Would you ever think if you're going to play something, if you're going to play for an A&R man or some Columbia Records, say, wouldn't you think that you'd want to rehearse with a band? Never thought about it. Because when he came in, I met him, I sat him down, and I jumped up on the bandstand, grabbed one of the guitars, and I said, if you got the money, honey. And that was one of them. The other one was a Buddy Holly song, That'll Be the Day.
That'll be the day.
Yeah, that'll be the day you say goodbye. And those are the 2 songs that got me the record deal.
Gosh. And the band just joined you when you
They
started?
all,
Yeah, because of course they knew at the
everybody
stand.
knows all
Yeah.
that.
You're a natural anyway. When you
Never
came to the
even thought
studio with
about it.
us.
Yeah.
I just picked the guitar. and started
When you
Yeah.
came in the studio and you started singing on that song, it was
It's
just
like-
like you'd sung it 100 times.
Oh.
I mean, it was amazing.
It was amazing.
Your voice
yeah.
is still
Yeah,
killer.
thank
stellar. Yeah, it really is.
But that's all in here. But when I came, me and Lefty was on our way to Nashville. And I mentioned to you earlier that we had 2 dates to play. One of the dates, we had 3 today. 3 was at the same place. And it was in Hobbs, New Mexico. And I can't remember the name of the nightclub now. But it was a strip joint.
I remember that.
Yeah. And
Remembers the stripper's name.
and we pulled
not the club.
and we pulled up to the nightclub, DeMarquis Club, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I pulled us up to the club, and the owner came out, and Lefty said, they met, and Lefty said, well, he said, I don't follow strippers. He said, but David does.
I said, I'll do it.
I'll do it. So
That's where you met Joe then?
So that was the only show that we did 3 days there. That was the only show that Lefty played. That got there on time.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, so we're playing that. But we did the first night. The next day was the day that Buddy Holly got killed in that airplane. Well, that morning I was coming over. I'd always go and I'd pick up some coffee at the motel, and I'd go back to Lefty's room, and we'd have coffee and that type of thing. But this time, as I'm leaving my room, he's at the door, and he said, "David, come here." Never did that before. Anything that was not normal would scare you, because it's always something awful. And so I walked in the door, and he said, "You might want to sit down." There you go. You might want to sit down. So I sat down there, and he says, Buddy Holly just died. Well, can you imagine telling me that? And I couldn't do anything. And he said, I just got a call from his booking agent. And his booking agent knew all the bookers, everybody. That was booking the Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper tour that was going on up there. That's when that was all going on up there in Michigan, Montana, wherever it was. Not Montana, but
It was
I
Iowa.
think it was
Iowa.
yeah.
Surf
But they were
ballrooms
doing,
that's right.
and so they played that night. The next morning they got on that plane, but anyway, but he called it the booking agent for Lefty knew me, and he knew I knew every Buddy Holly song there was. He knew that there was not a bigger fan of Buddy than me. And so he wanted to pitch me for the show, because Buddy couldn't do it. It wasn't there. But they wanted to keep the show going. And so he called to ask Lefty if it was all right if he pitched me to do the show and get on board with that tour. And so Lefty said, "Would you like to be pitched for that show?" He said, he thinks that you'd be perfect for that show, because you already do all the stuff. And I said, God, I don't know. I didn't even know what to do at that point. I couldn't even get up off the bed. I was sitting on the bed. And he said, well, just think about it, and we got to let him know about at least tomorrow. He said, so think about it today, and then we'll let him kind of know tomorrow. Tomorrow is when we were leaving. We were leaving, that was the end of the 3 days. So that night we got over to do the show, and I was really blue. I mean, I was out of it, as you can imagine. But you got to do the show, and so I'm in there, and the strippers are trying to get ready. I wasn't paying any attention. Lefty knew something's wrong. He said, David, he said, don't look at them like that. He said, now, Lefty said, look at me. He said, watch me. He said, I look, smile, look at him, and then look away, And then I look at my watch, and then he said, don't just stare like you're doing. Don't just stare at him like that. And but anyway, the next morning, Lefty asked me, he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I can't leave. I said, I can't leave you. I mean, I got to get you back to Nashville. He said, don't worry about me. I've been doing this all my life. Yeah. He said, this is in New Mexico. He said, I go to. So I said, I can't. So he called up the booker, and he said, well, David said, he said, I know I can get him on this show if he wants to do it. Matter of fact, I know I can. Tell David to think about it again. And
well, you were mourning, so I mean, it was.
Boy, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And so Lefty came over to me, and he said, David, I know what you're going through. He said, I don't think you're going to ever get over it, because you just don't get over these things. He said, but I got to tell you, he said, I'm having a good feeling about Nashville. Something's good's going to happen when we get to Nashville. He said, I don't know what it is, but I got this feeling that something's going to happen good, but not just for me, for both of us. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's go. So we took off driving, and he called and said I couldn't do the Buddy Holly thing. We got to Nashville and met Don Law. First thing he did was give Lefty a long black veil. The next day or so, a friend of Don Law came over to see Lefty. He knew him. Everybody knew Lefty, Mm-hmm. And Lefty had written some songs and this guy was a publisher. He was a publisher for Western Melodies Music, which was Gene Autry. Well, he was running Gene Autry's publishing company here in Nashville. So he came out to see Lefty. Lefty had a couple of songs, and he wanted to get them published. And so I was in the other room. Lefty, hey, said, David, come in here. Come in here. And I walked in. He said, I want you to meet Troy Martin. It was a fellow named Troy Martin. And I said, nice to meet you, Troy. And he said, Lefty said, David, sing him those two songs. He said, because I got watch my throat. He said, just sing him those two songs. So I just picked up Lefty's guitar and sang these two songs. Then I would say, thanks, nice to meet you, and all them back in the other room. That night, Lefty got a call from Troy Martin saying, Don Law wants to meet David. Bring him down here tomorrow. We went down there the next morning. Don Law reached his hand out and said, this handshake will do until I get the contract ready, so welcome to Columbia Records. Wow. From me singing those two songs.
That is amazing.
So that's the reason I always tell everybody, when you get a chance, you never know what chance it's going to be, but always be ready.
Yeah.
Always be ready. And you never found David that wouldn't be ready for whatever opportunity it was.
Well, it's good to be in Nashville because sometimes you get that last-minute phone call to go do something that you never thought would come along.
And
Well,
you just don't know.
And I've called record labels before and told them I wanted a record deal, and they hang up on me.
You didn't have that. Well, if I said David Frizzell, maybe he thought Lefty Frizzell.
I said I was twins with Debbie Moore.
Well,
and they slammed the phone.
Yeah, they slammed down the phone.
That ain't fair. That is not fair.
It's just amazing to me, how it used to. I mean, everything was different, of course. The social media thing. Well, of course, we didn't have all that. But I mean, it's amazing to me how how personal everything was.
Where you could really meet people,
yeah.
because now, a lot of people get record deals just from having a video on TikTok or something. It's crazy.
Or they do a Zoom meeting and they go, play me a song. I don't know, but
But
it's just different.
People actually take their guitar and go from downtown, walk from door to door, and maybe get a chance. And they have the guitar with them and they can play. And that's basically how that was.
Yeah.
You're just ready. But be ready. Always be ready. There was a time when Lefty was always, then after I got a chance to work out there with him for those 4 years. And sometimes we'd have people like Freddie Hart with us and so forth. And that would be touring with us. We all toured together and stuff. So I did these shows. And I would go, I'd have Freddie Hart would come out first, and Freddie come out and do his thing, and then I'd bring David on, and then I'd go and do some. Then I'd bring Lefty on. That would be the show. Mm-hmm. Whatever I did to get Lefty, I would do two songs and bring Lefty on. But I had gotten so good at every time I hit that stage, I'd say to myself, I'm going to steal the show tonight. I'm going to take over this show tonight. And then boy, sometimes I thought I was doing so good, and Lefty, all he had to do was step a foot on the bandstand. Then you're all right back again, right? But it always felt like that I was getting better at, because I was doing all these shows. Mm-hmm. And great bands were backing up Lefty, and some, and so I had a chance to show. I had a chance to jump out there and do things.
I kind of want to know when the first time that you actually met Buddy Holly. Then, do you remember that first time?
I actually never met.
You
Buddy
never
Holly.
actually met him.
No, but there was a couple of times.
The whole time I'm thinking you had to have known him as passionate as you were.
There was something about Buddy that knocked me
Wow.
out. And it first started actually in 1955, 1956, 1956 when I joined Lefty. So maybe it was 1955. Yeah. It was probably 1956 or so, somewhere in there, 57 maybe, something like that. When we're at Lefty's house in San Fernando Valley, and we just got in off the road, and it was at the house, and Columbia Records had just sent him a new tape recorder, big thing they all came apart, and you put the speakers, and all that kind of stuff. And Lefty said, put that thing together, and let's play some, because he had. You open the door to his house, and there'd be a big basket there. And that's where because everywhere he went, he'd come back in with tapes. He'd throw them in that basket. Every time. I don't care where you come from, he'd come back in with tapes. And he'd throw them in this basket. He said, we need to go through some of those songs in that basket. He said, so put that together. So I put it all together, and we sat down. What I did, I would take the tape out, and then I'd play it, and if he liked it, then I'd put it here in a save and keep it here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If it was no good, then I'd throw it in another basket. And then I'd pick out another one. Well, about the third song, it was a song that I never heard of a fellow named Buddy Holly. I never heard a song by the name of That'll Be the Day. I put a tape on there, and it's Buddy Holly singing That'll Be the Day. Never heard of him before, ever, in any way. But he sent that song to get Lefty to record it on a session, on one of his albums or whatever.
And he just sent it in. I mean, nobody knew him.
Nobody knew him.
Wow.
He sent it there, and I just picked it up and got it there. And I played it. I looked over at Sonny, Lefty, and he didn't say anything. So I just put it back in the little thing, and I put it back over to save. And then I played 2 or 3 more songs, and then I'd bring that back out again. And I'd put it back on there. And then I'd look at him, and I put it back over here. I did that about 4 or 5 times. And finally, he said, you play that song one more time, and I'm going to call the cops. I said, Sonny, no, that's a hit song. That's a hit song. He said, that's a hit song for you, but it's not my type of thing. I said, yes, it is. You just don't know it. I said, that is a hit song. He said, you record. I said, I ain't got no record deal. You're the one with the record deal. And he said, keep that for yourself. And I never got a chance to record. Anytime I would any record deals I'd have, it was almost all the songs were picked by the producer. You know what I mean? In those days, I never got a chance to pick anything I wanted to do until I got a chance to pick what I wanted to do, which was the Oklahoma and some of those songs.
Yeah.
But isn't that amazing?
It is.
But working with somebody but that's when I first heard of Buddy Holly. And then I became an instant fan. I mean, just instant. And then pretty soon it was out, and it was a big hit by Buddy. Mm-hmm. And but Buddy had recorded that a couple of different times. He recorded it, came to Nashville and recorded it. I forget who his producer was. If I could think about it, I'd probably think about it. But he went back to Lubbock and went over to New Mexico and recorded it at another studio, and it was a complete different song. But that's the one they put out, and it was incredible. That was a #1 record. It was a great song.
Yeah, it was.
But then after that, I got to know him just from stuff, and then when that happened, with Buddy passing away, it wasn't long.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was so young.
he was very young. He wasn't that much older than me. I was 18 when I got my deal with Columbia, my first deal, and then the one I talked about with me calling Sunday night was my second deal with Columbia. Mm-hmm. But that was after I got out of the service and all that stuff.
We'd just gone to Lubbock to go to the Buddy Holly Museum, and it was just so cool. I mean, they had his furniture in there from his bedroom, and then it's just all this, and I remember reading stuff with Jim Ed Brown in there too, because I know that they had been friends, and I guess, and it's just so cool to read all about it. I mean,
I tell you, there was a thing when I went there. Mm-hmm. We actually got our guitars and stuff and set up right there in the lobby thing.
Did you?
And played and had people come in from everywhere.
Oh, wow!
And we actually played some stuff, but there's a phone conversation. This was taped, and that was with Buddy talking to his producer in Nashville, asking for his stuff back. And he's trying to tell the guy, I wish I could remember his name. And you know if I can remember his name. The producer in Nashville for the Buddy Holly thing. Mm-hmm. And Buddy said, I just called. I'm not trying to be hostile or anything. I'm just really going to be trying, I just want to, because I know you're not going to do anything with it. I would like to have it all back. He never as far as I'm remember, he never got any of it back. So I don't know what happened.
Gosh.
But Buddy was really nice to phone, and it was, I could hear it. That was there to play.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing I played while I was there at Buddy Holly's place.
Yeah. Did you get your picture with the statue and the
I
glasses
did.
and all
I
that?
got
Yeah.
that. I even got glasses. This is Buddy Holly on them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you? Oh, I love that.
We had a Buddy Hoppy IPA.
Yeah, we did. There's a brewery close to it's called
really
Buddy
did.
Hoppy IPA.
But I tell you what, the one of the tricks to the whole thing is it helps to be around people that are in with you, like Lefty and Merle in my case, and then being around people like Johnny Cash and all those kind of people, George Jones and those people. I wasn't around them as much as I was with Lefty and Merle, but to have those kind of people around you and doing the same thing you want to do, and they're already at where you want to be, it's good to listen to them a little bit,
Yeah.
and to feed off of that. So when I got a chance to get with Lefty and Merle, I always took the chance to do that. And that's the reason you see Merle on all these things. Merle's on most of these things. This one here, Merle's right there.
Yeah, I can't believe all these projects. My goodness, it's amazing what all the things you've done. Now, tell me, like with Clint Eastwood, did you get to know him better after?
Yeah, really did. Yeah. Tell you what, he's just great, absolutely great guy. After we did the song went number one off of from all of his help that he put into it, him and Snuff Garrett. Then I went out and did a big show out at that big golf course up below San Francisco. There's a big golf course up there. I can't remember the name of it now.
Did it have hookers? Because you probably been.
But it was that big golf course up there. I mean, one of the most famous ones in the world. And I did a show there, and the place just filled up with people and people all over. And Jo was one of the first times she went out with me. Basically, she went out with me a few times, but she was there. All of a sudden, Clint Eastwood walks in. She was one of the first ones to see him. And I was on the bandstand. Here's Clint Eastwood. And I was going to get him up on the bandstand to sing with me, Because actually, him and I did a duet for one of the other movies that he did. And that was a movie that
Was that Honky Tonk Man?
I might have been Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, okay.
But me and him did a duet on that. And it was a song called "He's in the Jailhouse Now." He's in the jailhouse now. And I got a chance to hang with him in the studio, in the studio, singing with him and stuff. But when we did the movie, he actually put us in one of those movies. Me and Shelley played a little
Really?
scene in one of his movies.
Oh, I got to see that. That's cool.
I think it's that one.
Honky Tonk Man, yeah.
And I think he's the one that comes back to Nashville and he's trying to get a deal and everything. So it was actually, we filmed it. The old Ryman was shut down in those days, but Clint Eastwood, they opened it up. All the doors was open when he came in. So I just went in with him, So, but I got, had a chance to have dinner. They bring food for us all, but he actually directed us. He was our director.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's got to be, that's
what was
going to be the coolest.
what was kind of amazing with that is there's a lot of directors that will use 5 cameras and put them in different places and then do the scene once. Well, in his case, he used 1 camera but did 5 scenes of the same one.
That's what Andy Griffith used to do.
Of the same scene.
the
He used
Andy
1
Griffith show,
camera.
1 camera,
And so he directed the whole thing, and Clint did. And then I watched him direct himself. And he do that. But you know what was funny about him is that I noticed, because I paid pretty good attention in those days, and I noticed that he didn't do every scene the same way. He didn't use the same talking points, whatever. He'd say it, whatever.
He kind of ad-libbed then?
Hey, I guess, well, he knew what he was supposed to say, I guess, and he'd play around with that.
Yeah.
He'd play that, whatever. And I could think of a dozen ways to say any one thing, But I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is.
And then he would mix that down, have it mixed down the way he wanted it. But he was an amazing man to be around. So I got a chance to be around him quite a bit, actually, during that time.
Yeah.
And Burt Reynolds, too. I got a chance to be around Burt. He was another amazing guy. And that was all out in California, though.
I got to meet Bert one time with Jerry Reed, and Jerry
God.
was doing that show on TNN, you know, where they were sitting around the table telling
Oh, I
stories.
love
Remember that show?
Yeah.
So I was there with Jerry, and I said, "Oh, I want to get my picture with you and Bert." And he goes, "Man, I don't want you to be a germ and go over there and get him, you know." And I said, "All right, I'll be cool, you know, I won't do it." Well, later after they taped the show, Jerry looks at me and goes, "Get over here, Bert. I want to get a picture with her." And he made dang sure I got that
Oh,
picture.
that
of the
is
three
too
of
cool.
them.
That's a great
Oh,
time. But I got a chance to know him a little bit too.
Yeah.
And it's just some great people.
Oh,
man, you know.
yeah.
But I got a chance to know Clint a little bit. But he is an
Mm-hmm.
amazing man, and he's just like us all right here, right now. Not any different than what we're doing
just-
here right now.
yeah,
just being with it.
Friends and telling
Yeah.
stories, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful guy though, and boy, his movie. I don't think I've missed one of his movies ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones. Gosh, you know, whenever there's a Clint Eastwood movie on, or Burt Reynolds, really, I want to watch it because they're all.
But you know, just some great people. They just played their parts. They just did it. You know, he's coming out with a new movie now. I'm not even going to say how old he is, but he's got a new movie coming out right now, a brand new one.
Well, how old is he?
91.
See, to me, 91 isn't old anymore. I don't know what.
Well, in my case, let's see, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I started giving my years to Joe because she's so young. You know?
Yeah, she's gonna. Yeah, you can have mine too if you want. That'd be fine. Well, you've got a birthday coming up.
I got a birthday
You
coming
got
up.
a big one coming up.
September 26th.
That you're going to be like 60, right?
Oh my God. I am going back the other way.
Yeah.
How many did you give to Joe?
Well, every one of them.
Because I remember your 70th birthday party. I think we might have sat on your lap or something. I'm trying to remember
I
what we
think we
did.
made
but
a
that
scene.
we made a scene.
Yeah, we filmed it, I remember.
So we're looking forward to your next one.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about people survived.
Is there going to be a party, you think? Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, right here. We're going to do a party here.
party.
Oh, here in this house.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll do it here.
Yeah, this is the party house. I can tell you that. When you get lost, if you get lost here, you won't know what room you're in.
Well, there's a bar, so that works out for us.
Oh man, it's a big place. But there's so much has happened. A lot of it, I've just been really fortunate. You know, I've been blessed anyway. I tell everybody that because it's true. I was blessed from the time I came around, because of just some of the people that I had a chance to work with and deal with and play around with and joke with and sing with, and you know.
Yeah, and your brother Alan sings too, and he's been performing for a long
Man,
time.
you know, he's an amazing talent.
Yeah.
He's just an amazing talent. And but he plays guitar very fine. One of the great singers.
It's
He's got that lefty, a little more of the lefty. He can sound like Lefty when he wants to. And what was so great about Merle's he could, and I used to be able to. I might have to try it again, but I love Lefty. There was a song that Lefty did called "My Wishing Room." If you ever get a chance to listen to that song, "My Wishing Room," him and Whitey Schaefer wrote it. I was with Merle Haggard, with a whole bunch of us sitting out on Merle's balcony there. Remind me of one of your balconies, way off the ground, and was sitting out there. That's when he lived in Bakersfield, and and my mom and dad was there, and Merle gave us a tour of his house, about the size of this one you're already saying. Reminds me of this one, matter of fact. And we're all sitting out on the big balcony out there. Alan was there, and Jimmy Frizzell was there, my nephew, and a bunch of us out there. And I'm standing, Merle's standing here beside, I leaned up against the rail. I'm standing next to him, and then Lefty's sitting down on a stool. Not like just the three of us, though, you know. And so Lefty and Merle said, you know, he said, I never really ever pitch any of my songs to anybody. I don't do it. Other people may do it, but I don't do it. He said, but I got one I want to sing for you. And it's called The Streets of Chicago. I can't remember if that's a real name or not. But his pant leg touched the gutter and all that kind of stuff. Incredible song. And and Merle, and I'm right here. I'm right here, you know. Here he is. I'm right. Greatest voice, and here he is right here. And so he finished singing that song. Lefty sat there and didn't say nothing. And it was quiet on that balcony for, it felt like a long time. Finally, Lefty said, give me that guitar. Took that guitar from Merle and sang My Wishing Room. Oh, and here's this other voice come hit me right on this side of the head. Wow, wow, the two greatest voices in the entire world right in your head.
Wow.
Both of them. If you get a chance to listen,
I want. Yeah.
listen to My Wishing Room and hear that voice. You're not going to believe it.
Wow.
He just there's a trick to it. Obviously, there's always a way to do it. In his case, he knew how to operate that. It's working that microphone. He knew how to work that microphone. And he would play that microphone. You see him do his head all around. If you ever got a chance to watch him, you see him doing all that stuff. But it's how do you keep that? Instead of in a studio, you're working, you're doing what you do, and then the engineer is getting like what you're doing now. He's getting you, and then he'll mix that in with everything, get the right mix. Well, when Lefty sang, he would make the engineer go in and get it. In other words, he didn't project unless it was a projected song, unless he needed to. He would roll that voice right around in here, but you had to be able to go get it. You had to be able to figure out a way to operate that microphone and get it. Well, Merle found out how to do that. I found out how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's all in what you hear yourself back, but you got to have a good setup to be able to do it. But when I heard that, I had been gone for quite a while, and and Lefty was back in Nashville. And I just gotten out of the service, I think it was, and I had met Merle that one time, and I hadn't seen him but sometime after I got out. But I went in. I was supposed to meet somebody at a place in Vegas. It's called Nashville, Nevada Club is the name of the club. Nashville, Nevada Club. And I was waiting for this guy to meet me there. He was a steel guitar player. And while I was waiting for him, and I got there maybe 5 or 10 minutes earlier, so somebody had played a song. And it's called I'll Break Out Again. No, it's called Sing Me Back Home. That was the name of the song, Sing Me Back Home. And I stood at the bar, and I heard this song, Sing Me Back Home. And I thought, Lefty's got him one now. He's got him a hit. That is incredible. But to me, it sounded exactly like Lefty. And I went over to the jukebox, and it says Merle Haggard. I said, somebody's playing with me here now. But that was one of Big Merle's big hit songs. Yeah. But it sounded to me like Lefty.
Thought it was Lefty.
I thought, man, Lefty's got him one now, boy. I'm going to call him.
It's kind of weird how your musical family, I mean, how, you know, because Alan was married to Shelley, right? And then so the Frizzell West thing, I mean, it was, not only are you singing together, but you're a family, you know, it's pretty wild.
And then your nieces and nephews sing too.
Yeah,
and most of them do.
Yeah.
You know, like all of
We'll be with Tess
Alan's.
this weekend in Carthage, Texas. So Tess is going to be down there.
Oh,
so we'll get to see her then.
Yeah, she sings great.
Yeah, we saw her not too long ago, and we told her that we'd just been in the studio with you, you know, and we told her we got to play that song for you.
But she's very talented, and her sister, Alan's daughter, tremendously writes songs too.
Now, what is her name?
Jade.
Jade, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met
Olivia
Jade.
Jade is her name, but Jade is it. And, of course, her son, his son that plays and sings and all that kind of stuff. And but almost everybody in the Frizzell family sings, you know, or writes songs, whatever.
Because sometimes you have families, you know, where one can sing and one can't, you know, but
Well,
everybody in your families.
They all seem to sing, and a lot of them jump right up and sing right in front of me.
See, with Debbie and me, I could sing and she can't. It's really strange. I'm good.
You notice I'm not laughing.
I didn't hear a laugh out of that microphone. But it is great to be with those type of people.
Yeah.
And they're doing things that I wanted to do, like they were playing hit songs, writing them, and I don't know how many that Merle wrote, and they were big old hit songs. And so I always kind of wanted to do that, and I lucked out a couple of times. But what I was concentrating on doing was the learning from everybody, but still coming out of there being David. Because he told me every day, you learn from my, but we need David, and he told me that a lot, and then I wanted to learn how to show. That to me, that was really important, was to learn how to show, sing well and all that kind of stuff, but know how to put on a show. Because I was playing Vegas and all those places before I ever had a hit song.
So you already knew how to entertain.
Well, that was from working with Lefty when I was 16, 14, 15, 13, 14 years old, when he'd come by and pick me up after school and all those kind of things. But he gave me the chance to learn. He gave me the right to come on the bandstand and learn how to do it. And he always, one time he said, I'm not following David. He said, and one time he always had things, he said, he always had things to do. There's two things you don't do. I mentioned the two things you do. That they need always have that, and you don't follow a woman act, and don't follow kid act.
What was it little Jimmy used to always say?
Yeah.
An
Jimmy
animal.
Dickens. Yeah, don't follow an animal act or a baby. Was that what it was? I'm trying to
Kid.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, kids.
I don't think
That was
anybody ever wanted to follow Jimmy Dickens. I don't think.
No,
So-
no.
So-
But one of the last things that I did hear Lefty say about that kind of thing was he was talking to somebody. He said, "There's two things you don't want to do. You don't want to follow George Jones when he's singing, or David when he's entertaining."
Oh,
And I
wow.
didn't hear him say that to me personally, but it was brought back
That's
to me.
awesome. Well, you have that rapport with your audience. You just do. I mean, you do.
But he always had. I got such a kick out of him when Lefty'd walk on the bandstand. He'd walk up he'd walk up to the bandstand, and then he'd look, and then he'd look. Maybe he counted to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. In his mind,
Yeah.
because he looked for a certain length of time, and he'd very slowly, and he'd look, and he's on the bandstand. He kept and finally he'd say, "Thanks. If you got
Because you got to milk that audience.
he just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Wow.
But he had him with just that face, going and looking at. He got the whole room, whatever, have 20,000 or 1,000. Unbelievable.
I know that, because I know you worked with our band before, our fan club shows and stuff like that. But they tell me that you never really keep a song list, right? You don't
No.
Whenever you go do a show, do you look at the audience and then go, I'm going to do this song because this person.
how it works.
Is that what you do? Yeah, because you're one of the few. Because most artists I know have
Well,
the song
I usually
list
have the
planned
list,
out. Yeah.
but that's from
For the band.
for doing. Well, yeah, I don't ever stick to it, but I always have a list. I have a list. So I remember the names of the songs, but we've done it so many times now that I know which ones to put in.
Yeah.
And then I know when to do the Johnny Cash impersonations, or I know when to or whatever.
Okay, well, go ahead and do one of those right now.
I love Johnny music. And she got a chance to meet Johnny one time, and June Carter, and they're just precious people.
Yeah.
And we used to go. Sometimes we'd go maybe to the hospital for some reason or other, and a lot of times we'd find June in the waiting room, and that's because Johnny's upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got a chance to see June a lot in some of those last days.
Wow.
But she was an amazing lady. Did you have a chance to meet her?
I did. I actually have an autographed picture of her upstairs.
Well,
She was
absolutely.
very sweet.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I ran into him one time. I was coming back from a show in California. And when you come back from California, you come back to Nashville, usually it's a Dallas stop. You stop in Dallas, change, whatever. So I had to come to the new spot, and I got there, and she was there. June was there, And a lot of the people she ran with, and they all ran with Johnny and all, they were in a special little room there. But she came out when she saw me there, and she went up. I went up and checked in, and she came up. Jim, what are you doing? She came up to me, and she went to the guy, the checking in. She said, and he's with us. And they put me from where I was at to the first class.
Oh my gosh, isn't that
And-
nice?
That's a wonderful surprise.
You know what I mean? She just had that kind of thing, and she had that kind of power, because she used it. You know. No, he's with us. Yeah.
Oh, how nice.
But and that's not the only reason you love her, but that's just one thing I remember.
That's a good reason to love
That's
her.
a very good reason.
We'll take that.
Yeah, but I just great people, and Johnny was an amazing guy, and just like I knew he would be. But in those days, I was working with all the big guys. I mean, Lefty was a big guy, so because I was working with him, I got a chance to work with all these big
Yeah.
people.
Awesome.
And Johnny Horton, also got to know him real well, and he was always, not always, but a part of that show. Those shows, like those package shows.
I was talking to Mo Bandy earlier, and he was telling me, he said, because I said, well, David's coming over to do the podcast, and he goes, yeah, I'm going to do that project with him. He's, for the other project that you're getting ready to do.
We got to get over to him and get him ready to go.
And then, of course, Bandy the Rodeo Clown, Lefty wrote that song, so he talked about that too. So,
I got such a kick out of hearing him tell me how he found out, how they called him. I got such a kick out. Every time we do a show together, I'd ask him to do it for me. He'd imitate Lefty, and call him on the phone. They call him about 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's in Houston or wherever he was at, and Lefty and Whitey's in Nashville, and about 3 o'clock, and Whitey's saying, "Got you that song, but you need to record this song." And Lefty got on the phone at 3 o'clock, and he said, "Lefty Frizzell, I'm talking at 3 o'clock in the morning." He said, "Lefty, you what?" And he said, Lefty said, Mo, he said, if you do this song, it's going to make you a big star.
A star.
A star. I said, yeah, that's Lefty, all right. A big star. And then he imitates Lefty coming out of the airport. Oh my God, it's funny. But he's all these little physical things he does. And he knows that I like that kind of stuff.
And I guess you and Rodriguez, I mean, do you think you, probably got a close relationship with some of these people like Johnny Rodriguez because of the Lefty Frizzell songs, right? Because of what they recorded.
No, I suppose so. I guess I never really.
Yeah.
I guess so. I never really thought of it that way, but basically, I suppose, yeah. And those guys are just like me and you. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean,
they're just great to be around. They don't. I'm number one, you're number nothing. That kind of thing. They don't have that kind of
attitudes,
stuff.
yeah.
No, that's not even in the ballgame. Everybody's just real people, And I get such a kick out of Mo, though. He said, "Oh, you're not going to wear that jacket, are you?" This is one I got from the hanger that you had yours on. And then I think we did that one time. We brought him some clothes that he had left someplace, and we brought them to him.
he was telling me a story one time about, I can't remember what artist he was talking about, but he said that, you talk about, now listen, if I ever, I guess this artist was telling Mo, if I ever get to a point where I can't sing, I mean, you're going to tell me, right? So I don't just go out there. And he goes, yeah, you might want to sit down. There's something I've been wanting to talk to you about.
I tell you what, he's got such a great sense of humor.
yeah,
And be around him is just a really good thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the last times we did that cruise going all down to wherever, he was on there, and Johnny Lee was on there with him.
Yeah.
Both of them together.
Johnny does it every year,
I
Yeah.
love them. I love these guys.
That's a great cruise.
That really is.
Country music cruise,
I had a great time doing that, and we had a lot of things going at that time, but so we took that week. I guess it was a week was that there. And we had a great time, especially when Johnny Lee's around, or Mo, any of those guys.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more fun to be there.
Yeah, I think Johnny's been on every one of them. He was on the inaugural one, and he goes every year.
Well,
that's just
really-
part
and
of it, you know. He's
that's
part of
great
that. Yeah.
Great to have him there. There's just so many great people in this business that I just feel like I'm just fortunate to be around in it.
Oh, we felt
all
the
my
same
life.
way,
Though.
yeah.
I mean, I was doing a radio show in a place called Kermit, Texas, when I was 9. And I was
9.
singing, "If You Got the Mind, Got the Time," and "I Love You 1,000 Ways." Matter of fact, Joe's got a copy of it.
Are you kidding? Is
She
that
got
the first song?
a copy of me singing
on
"I
an
Love You 1,000
8-track?
Ways" when I was 9.
Wow, 9. And so when you were 9 years old, you sang in Kermit, Texas. That was one of the first times you remember
that's
singing on
why
the
I sing
radio?
live on the radio. Yeah.
And then Joe was telling us earlier that you stuttered back then.
I
You
had from a very young age, and I have no reason, I have no idea why.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how. But time I can remember anything, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 years old, I would stutter. And it was certain words like W's or L's. If it was a D, it was
No problem,
a B,
yeah.
bang, you bang it. But if it's a L like or a W, what. But
How did you go
my
for that
my
then?
brother, I remember my brother asked me he said, "We'll go see a movie. You could go find out what's on the movie." And so him and the booking agent was in the car, and so I went around the corner and I seen what was on. Well, I came back, and it took me 5 minutes to say what was on the movie. Blah, 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 and but he never ever made fun of me. Never, ever. And matter of fact, my sister would start talking for me.
So did you and Mel ever talk about this?
No, we never did.
Really?
But by the time I got to know Mel, I was pretty much over it.
Yeah.
I did it up until 15, 16, 17 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
And I
So
could
how
find-
did you get over it then? How did
I think I just
Just-
quit doing it. I don't know. I don't know how.
Well, I mean, Mel didn't stutter when he sang. He only
Yeah,
stuttered
didn't
when
stutter
he
when he
talked.
sang.
So I guess maybe just singing.
Just start singing a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think I started doing a little bit more things, doing a few more things that I did when I didn't stutter. There was a thing to do with smoking. That was another thing, was that I wanted to quit smoking, but in a habit, and I found myself going through the trash one time, and I said, "That's it. I'm not going through the trash." And I was probably 25 years old at that time, and I was saying nothing worth me getting on my hands and knees and going through the trash to find something. I'm not going to have anything no bigger than that take that kind of control over
Yeah,
me.
right.
And so so what I started doing was that if I saw somebody walking up to the house, I'd light up first and then I'd answer the door. Right? Or if the phone rang, I'd want to start a cigarette before I answered. You know what I mean? So I started doing more things that I didn't smoke doing, like take a shower. I might take 4 or 5 showers a day, but I didn't smoke during that time.
Yeah.
If I felt like I needed to have a cigarette, I'd jump in the shower. But it worked because I haven't had a smoke in all these years.
Wow. That's really.
I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but a few
Oh,
years.
We know.
Everybody's
Well,
already looked
I
it
gave
up.
some to
Google
Joe.
it,
We
you know.
said it was a big. We said it's a big one next month. So everybody's already.
They've already
looked it up.
Googled it by now.
Oh yeah, I don't know why it is, but on the day of your birthday, the news has got it clear across America.
Oh yeah. Well, at least.
And it was always me, Marty Robbins, same day. Me
Really?
and Marty Robbins, and Lynn Anderson, hers on the same
Oh,
day.
is it? Oh.
Lynn, oh yeah, love her. And but they always, whoever was the oldest, got their name last, or whoever going up the age of them.
Yeah.
Well, he's 30, so he's whoever. But they've always got mine in there.
Is
And
it
now
last?
now it's at the last. The only one older than me, I think, would probably be Ernest Tubb.
Well, I can't thank y'all enough. I mean, I don't know if you want to keep going or.
Oh, hey, we're
I mean, I
we're
don't know
having a
because
good
I know.
time, though,
Well,
I'll tell you that.
me too. Well, we can
We
keep
always
going.
have a good time.
It's
Oh,
great
yeah.
to to see all of y'all again, And nice that we finally delivered you some of the product.
Thank you. Well, I
Oh,
had
yeah, and where can you go to get
Yeah.
all this product?
Can you get it on the website? Is that davidfrizzell.com? And that's
That's it.
FRIZZELL.
You can Google that too.
.com.
But DavidFrizzell.com.
You know, I still think about that year when you played our fan club party, and I won't say the host that year, but he said, "Everybody welcome David Frizzell." And I'm going, oh my God.
Apparently not a big country fan.
No, no.
Airports.
Oh, yeah, we heard that. Yeah. I don't tell them anymore. I don't say anything. I used to say, oh, that's David Frizzell. But I don't do that anymore.
You don't do it anymore?
No,
Gosh,
I used to
would.
get, there's a song that called There Stands a Glass, recorded by Webb Pierce.
Yeah.
I've had more people in my lifetime that would say, boy, that's the best song your brother ever recorded. I said, my brother? Well, yeah, Lefty, you know. I used to say, well, no, actually, Webb Pierce, that was a Webb Pierce song, but I don't do it anymore. I said, yeah, isn't that great?
You have people that go, oh, I saw you on that television program. Yeah, wasn't that good? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking
We're
about.
never on that television show, but you know, let them believe it.
Let 'em
whatever they
believe it,
think.
But when Johnny Lee called me the other day and he said, is Lefty your brother? Or Johnny.
Johnny could have Googled it too, but he
He probably
oh, he's so funny, I swear. So, I can't thank you all enough for being here.
Oh,
And
well,
thanks
we-
for coming on out to the woods with us, and you're welcome here anytime.
Man,
You
well,
know
I
that.
see you got enough room.
There's an extra bedroom up there, you know.
It's like the Hilton or something. Yeah.
Anytime you want to come out here and hang in the country, you're more than welcome
well,
to
you
do
got
it. So,
you got it all here. I never seen this beautiful land, the property around it, and this house is. You've never seen another one like it,
Well.
unless you know this guy.
well, Randall's pretty good. There's no doubt about it. But we love it out here. We really do. I mean, we were lucky because we bought it, the land a long time ago, and then
It's so
built. And,
incredible.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's
You didn't know that when you actually came out here. It's like, did you have to actually get the places that was open so you could actually build, or did you have to?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have to?
blackberry bushes everywhere.
telling you
I mean,
guys,
we did a
this-
lot of clearing and lots of planting, and
But what
yeah.
you've done is amazing.
Well,
That's
thank
a
you.
showpiece.
Yeah, well, thank you. We love it. We really do. We're very fortunate. So,
Now I live right next door.
yeah.
I thought you did.
This is Castlewood, and her house is called Dogwood. So we're in the
Castlewood
woods.
and Dogwood. Huh?
That's
Out in
right.
the woods.
That's right.
Oh man, no, it's beautiful out here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming, and
Yeah,
thank you for
thank
being
you.
here. And
Thanks
Thanks
Yeah.
for having us on
we
the
can do it
show.
again. And I can't wait. But the single will be coming out with David that we recorded.
Oh, I wish
Yeah,
you could play
and we-
that thing.
Yeah, we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it.
Oh,
But
And
yeah.
I just want to mention we wrote that song with Dean Merrill. And we saw Dean on the country music cruise, and we didn't know him yet. And we were getting ready to go in to eat. And the dining room wasn't open yet. So we said, well, I guess we'll just go have a drink together. So I said to Dean,
because we didn't know him.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
well, tell me your name because I need to know who I'm drinking with.
Oh man,
And that's how the title. We said,
you
we
can
got to
tell.
write that.
You can tell that's a title too, can't you? I mean, it's a title. It's
Yeah.
a hook. It's a hook.
So
line.
then
Dean
he
came
came
over
over
here?
here to the Blue Moon in our bar here, and we all wrote it together. And now, and he's thrilled that you sang it with
Oh,
us.
really? Well,
my
oh
gosh,
my
he's happy.
It
God.
sounded really good. What I heard.
Yeah. Oh
today.
yeah. It's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hit. It's gonna be one of the top CMT top 40 drinking songs.
Number 18.
Number 17. 18 for us. I'll take it.
No, it was great. We need to do some more of that because that was fun.
That was
That
fun.
was actually fun.
It was. I had a blast, and you sounded so great on it. And the best part is the end for me. I mean, but I'm not going to say anything. I'll let you all hear it when we play it for you. But gosh, I love it.
Well,
Love
once
it.
again, thanks for having us on, and
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for the tour.
Yeah, we're going to the Dogwood next, and we're going to go to the Road Dog Bar next.
I want to see that.
Yeah, you got to see it. All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, David. Gosh,
Appreciate it.
we love y'all. This has been just a great experience for us just to sit around and talk to y'all. And,
You know, you don't get a chance to do that anymore.
I know.
So it's great to see y'all.
yeah,
The kid-
yeah,
We all have plenty of
absolutely.
time because we're not doing anything else. But we did record this song together, and you're going to hear it right now. And it's called Who I'm Drinking With, More and More, and David Frizzell.
Looks like you got your heart broke just like mine. We'll be throwing back a few tonight.
Bartender, we need something to numb the pain, and I don't mean Bud Light.
When someone does you wrong, you need something strong, so slide me down that fifth.
And hey, new friend, what was your name? I like to know who you're drinking with.
Tell me about yours and I'll tell you about mine. I almost lost everything.
First my heart, and then my mind. We're gonna need another drink.
Not gonna be sober, gonna cry on your shoulder before the night is over with.
My only drinking problem is I need to know who I'm drinking with. The more we drink, the more I think I'm glad I know your name. Let's order up another round. You miss 100% of the shot you don't take, 100% of the love you don't make.
About yours and I told you about mine. We almost lost everything.
I lost my heart, and there goes my house. We're gonna need another drink.
When someone does you wrong, you need something strong, so slide me down another fifth.
Oh, and hey, new friend, what was your name? I'd like to know who I'm drinking with.
And hey, new friend, what was your name? Was it David or?
Are you Debbie or Carrie?
I'd like to know who I'm drinking with.
Who is this?
Hey, we hope you enjoyed our new single with David Frizzell, Who I'm Drinking With.
We sure had fun drinking with,
What? Recording it.
recording it with him.
Yeah. Anyway, you can download it at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your music.
And that song is on our new album, so check it out at moreandmoreonline.com.
Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. We'll see you down the road.